Hi everyone, how are you doing? I'm wondering how you feel when you watch the TV, hear the radio and hear of the reports of the death toll and the way it takes a jump, quite a dramatic jump every day, and they're saying about this curve that it's only going to get higher and steeper, so much so they're having to build 4,000 capacity hospital suddenly in London and think about doing it in Manchester and Cardiff and Scotland too. And as we feel those things maybe coming closer to us, that the threat coming closer to us, maybe you feel it generally in life, you sense life racing by and you think, well, the time of my departure is getting frighteningly close. Well, I thought very much about that this morning as I read from Ezekiel, Exodus 14. God's people have come out of Egypt. God's rescued them, but he tells them to pause and to camp at the Red Sea. Now, God could have got them there and said, right guys, the way across to the promised land is through here. There you go, I've parted the water. Off you go, enjoy the promised land. But no, he tells them to camp, to pause. And why is he doing that? Because he's going to harden Pharaoh's heart, and Pharaoh with 600 chariots and other men are going to come racing towards them. And you can understand God's people. They say to Moses, aren't there enough graves in Egypt that you bring us out here to die? But you see, God has a plan. God has a purpose, as we were thinking yesterday with Job. God has a reason for delaying. And it is that he's going to bring glory to his name. He tells Moses this. Moses tells the people that they need to have faith. But let me read to you, 3 times in this chapter, God gives the reason for why he delays and why he hardens Pharaoh's heart. Verse 4, I will get glory over Pharaoh and all his host, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord. It repeats that in the middle. And then at the end, we see how God is going to get glory not only amongst the Egyptian people, but amongst his own people. Israel says this in the very last verse. Israel saw the great power that the Lord used against the Egyptians. Not just the great power in parting the waters, but the great power against the Egyptians, so that the people feared the Lord, and they believed in the Lord and his servant Moses. So in the context of the increased danger, the increased fear, God proved himself, and the people's faith grew. Now Moses told the people that they were not to fear. Fear not, verse 13. Fear not, stand firm and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. The Lord will fight for you. You have only to be silent. Doesn't that speak into our situation? Fear not, stand firm in the Lord, trust him, wait and see his salvation. Wait and see his glory revealed through this situation. And what must we do? Don't grumble. Don't complain. Be silent and trust God. Now, I'm not saying, folks, if we do that, coronavirus will not touch us, our loved ones, and then it will just be gone. It'll be gone eventually. God will work through scientists, through medical professions, and this will be a distant memory one day. One we'll never forget, no doubt. But what is this account really pointing to? It's pointing to that crossing that we must make into the promised land of eternity. Not following Moses in his wooden staff held out across the water, but following Jesus upon the wooden cross. He went through death ahead of us. He conquered and defeated our enemies so that we have the way open through death Death is just a passage because it takes us to glory. So let's stand firm. Let's not fear when the prospect of death becomes closer through age or through illness. But let's put our faith in God, faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, the one who has gone before us, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and is sat down at the right hand of God. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, and let us run this race with endurance or with perseverance, in quiet faith in him.